Did you hit record or no?
Just walked up there for decoration?
No, I'm pretty sure I hit record, dick.
All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Angel and Tony Show. Today, we are with our friend Kristina.
Hello.
And we're talking about what it means to be an ally, because it's Pride Month and everybody's talking about being happy to be themselves and stuff like that. We thought it would be cool to talk about, what it means to be a supporter of that in a genuine way, not in a like, I turned my logo into rainbow True car on 405 last night in the building.
The
logo's rainbow.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, we still appreciate the whole logo rainbow thing. I mean, I turned my profile photo into rainbow, so I feel attacked.
I'm just saying.
Hey, you can support the gay community and also make a little extra money off it.
That's
what
the American way.
Do. It's capitalism, right?
I was going to say just one thing. Kristina was one of the first people I came out to. Wow. Fun fact.
Mm-hmm, I was.
She's one of my very early supporters of my gayness.
Yeah, it was as a half come out.
Yeah, I came out as. I forgot.
And then a full come out.
How did I said
you were
I was bi.
Yeah.
Did I
use a baseball analogy.
I did. Cups and socks, baby.
Yeah.
You swing both ways.
Yeah.
Oh, so you were on both teams.
Yes, I was on both teams. Can you imagine?
So.
No, I cannot.
That was really clever.
Yep. Good segue.
I was gonna ask you, what is your definition of like what it means to be an ally?
Okay. Well, being an ally for me means like taking up the cause as if it were your own. Like, it doesn't make a difference that it doesn't personally affect me. And, because gay marriage, it's not going to be an issue for me. And, I'm not going to be discriminated against in that way. But to be an ally is like to care as passionately and make that as important to you as if you were gay. As, just take that cause up as your own, even though technically it's not.
For me, my experience with some people that may like shy away from supporting gay rights is that people think that people are going to perceive them as gay. Has that ever been anything that you've ever dealt with or anything that's ever crossed your mind? Because that's what I've seen, especially, I guess, on the male side.
Yeah, I definitely think that's probably more of a man's issue because, there's this, black and white with sexuality with men, whereas women have always been a little more fluid with it, even before, the conversation started being about sexual and gender fluidity. I guess, I don't know. I don't think personally, nothing that I can think of where I've really encountered that.
Yeah. Maybe only when we go out to dinner, we kind of cock block each other.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah. Can't pick up a guy when I'm with you, but, it's fine.
That definitely used to be like, I guess from the male side of it definitely used to be like a fear that I had.
Yeah.
I don't think we probably talked about it before, but it is one of those things where the male ego's fragile.
Yeah.
For a while until you just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, now I don't really care, but it was like a weird thing to me. And I remember like that day when it was like me, you, Gary, and that one other chick. We were all sitting at the table and I was like, wow, I'm the only straight person at this table. Like, if you would have said this to me like 5 years ago, that this would be a thing happening, like I would be like, get out of here.
Yeah.
But it didn't even dawn on me until I was just like, went out of my way to think about it.
Right.
So I think, that's definitely a more male targeted thing for sure.
Right, like, and I think, when I was younger, I don't know if I would have handled it differently, but definitely in, the last 10 years and whatnot, I've been mistaken for being a lesbian. People don't, I thought you were gay. I'm like, all right, cool, I'm not. Like, but still, like, it doesn't, if I'm like in a gay club or I'm out with Angel or, and people think we're on a date, like, that doesn't bother me. I don't care. I would never care that people would think that. I like you guys saw like recently what's gone viral, it's like in Oklahoma, this guy like painted the back of his truck
saw that
rainbow, I was like, and that's kind of showing that kind of progression of like straight men being like, we can be allies too. It's not so taboo and like, no homo man, So
like, was there a moment where this became like, was this always a thing for you, or was there a moment where like, or a person that kind of put you on this path?
I never really thought of myself, like I never actively thought of myself as being an ally or becoming an ally. I think it was just kind of an organic thing because as, you know, like moving to LA, so many of my close friends, present company included, are gay, you know, and that was just kind of norm. So yeah, I had like, you know, like basically one gay family member growing up, and it was like, I remember being young and not, you know, like kind of like knowing he was gay, but not really understanding what that meant. And my parents not really talking to me about it. And I think more about they weren't totally comfortable. They didn't really know what to say. You know, this is 20, 30 years ago. You know what I mean? Like 20 something years ago. So, but I don't know. It's just like, you get into college, you get out, you know what I mean? Like you just like exposed more, and it became like, it was kind of an afterthought, like this terminology of like ally, you know what I mean? At that point, when that started becoming more of a thing, I guess I already was one because I already had so many close people in my life that I cared about and were gay. So
did that happen, just like happen to happen, or how did you end up having so many friends that happen to be gay?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, Angel and I, you know, we met right away in LA. So, I mean, I really credit that to LA. I really didn't have close gay friends before LA. So I think it's a number of things. It's LA. You know, it's people are more out and, you know, and comfortable with who they are here. Angel and I became good friends. You know, I've met people through Angel. And then I worked at a company that was super LGBT for like 4 years. And that was like super exposure. And I met, you know, made a lot of friends through there. Happened, you know, yeah, it was very, yeah, it was a number of different things, but it wasn't something I was like seeking out, you know.
So was it like working there and meeting those people? Because I know you do a lot of stuff with like drag and stuff like that. Did working there kind of influence that?
Yeah, that was like my exposure to that. And it was, I mean, I didn't know, like, I knew that Drag Race existed. You know, I knew that drag existed.
Yeah.
But then working at a company that was so, you know, it was like ran by gay men. You know, a lot of the employees were gay. And a lot of our content was gay driven content. So it was just like, I just dove right in the deep end with it, you know. It was like, and it was really informative and educational. And I realized that, like, it's one of those things where like it became such commonplace for me, and understanding like, you know, the difference between drag and trans and that type of stuff, which seems so obvious to me, but then I talk to, you know, people outside of that world, and I'm like, oh, it's not obvious to people.
Even in the world. I mean, I will say that Kristina working at this place, I mean, she's taught me things about the community that I didn't know, you know. I was brand new to it all. So I feel like being in LA, we kind of discovered a lot of stuff together. Yeah. Like, we kind of went through this stuff. Because when I came out, you know, Kristina would come with me to a lot of these places. Yeah. And, like, we shared our first Pride together and all that stuff. So
So what is your take on the Pride parade? Because the first time I went was when I came here, and living in Chicago, I was still kind of on that, like, I'm not going over there because people are gonna think I'm gay and I'm not going over there. And then when I came here, you guys were all going, and I was like, well, I don't want to be left out. And everybody's like, oh, it's so dope. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And I think what I was expecting it to be, it was so not that. Like, and I almost kind of thought I was going to be like targeted by being there. But after, you know, people from back home talked to me about it, I was like, you know, it was cool because it was more about like accepting people and like just acceptance than it was about even being gay at all. Like, and so I thought it was super dope. And so I was just wondering what you think of it, because you've gone probably more than once, I assume. Yeah,
we've been a couple times. I mean, probably like the first, I mean, it's a party, you know, it's a fun party. Like, so that is like a big element of it, you know. It's like you go, you get drunk, you're waving at everybody. It's good energy too, you know. And it is like, it's love, acceptance. It's like you can dress and be whoever you want to be there, and it's just, I think that's empowering for everybody, you know. And that is a fun experience. But it is then, just going out and showing your support. And I think it was always really exciting, like watching the actual parade on the occasion that we did make it down there early enough and seeing, you know, like.
They're very different. Just to clarify, like the parade, the actual parade versus the Pride festivities around the parade.
Yeah, exactly.
Two different things.
And that was always great, like watching the parade and seeing, you know, just like you see these, like, you know, these big companies out there with all this representation, you know, and you see like the cops out there, and
you
know,
see the cops, and then make sure you see like grandmas and grandpas, like
I love my gay son, you know, and like really those kinds of things. And like everything, there becomes controversy, and I think this year is becoming a bigger conversation about what Pride really represents with the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall riots this year.
This year, yeah.
And, you know, and that, because that's arguably what people credit as kind of the kickoff to Pride. And this, you know, like, we won't, you know, rescind to the shadows thing. And that was started by mainly trans women of color, you know, and that's people, you know.
A lot of people don't know that.
No.
A lot of people
I
don't
did not
know that.
And I mean,
that fight was trans women of color.
That bar, right. And, you know, and you know, they made a movie about it and they whitewashed the out of it, and, you know, which is disappointing. So they didn't really do it justice, you know, which is was an opportunity for them to educate people more. But so I think that it, you know, it, like so many things, like what's happened with like the Women's March and thing, you know, it's like, oh, okay, well now it's like a white gay man thing. That kind of becomes part of the conversation around it too. So nothing comes without its controversy. But I think, you know, it's still just that visibility. And, you know, I mean, and I think as long as it is still representative of everybody and inclusive of everyone, it's not a bad thing. But yeah, but it's been a couple of years since we've been, actually. So
I've had a very different relationship with Pride. I think my first Pride was awesome, and it was cool because it was my first Pride. It was my first time celebrating who I was, and we did make it to the actual parade the first year, so that was really cool to see and witness. But, you know, as the years kind of progressed, I kind of felt like a lot of what I was seeing at the Pride celebrations was like this caricature of gay that I fought with my parents for so long.
Yeah.
To be like, that's not how gay people are.
Yeah.
Gay people aren't just sleeping with everybody and just doing drugs and drinking. And then I go to these Pride celebrations and I'm like,
yeah,
man, no. And that's kind of what made me like step away, I guess, from a lot of the Pride celebrations.
Yeah.
And then I feel a sense of like guilt because I'm not like celebrating,
right?
You know, so I always try to like, you know, I'll donate to different organizations I believe in, especially the Trevor Project and stuff. But because that has meant something to me in my life,
right?
It's been a hard thing for me to be like, I really want to be a part of it, but then I'm like, there's certain parts that I don't agree with, you know what I mean? So, and it's cool to have fun, like, and I'm saying, like, you know, Tony and I have had this conversation kind of offline about how a lot of parades, there's a lot of drinking involved and a lot of, like, you know, celebrations.
Just the scene of that type of environment anyways, right? It's just, like, rowdy, it's crowded, it's wasted, like, you know? Like.
I just remember the last Pride we were with together, it was an ungodly amount of smell of puke and just beer, like, you know, like, just alcohol and just people, like, sitting on the curb, like, throwing, it was, like, debauchery.
Yeah, right. It's crazy, right? Like, it's madness. So
we lost a couple of rainbow raccoon tails in Porta Potty.
Yeah, I dipped it in a toilet on accident.
But I was saying too in that, I feel, and I was telling her, I was like, I think that parade in particular gets to this like debaucherous point because it's about like sexuality in the first place.
Yeah.
So you get like the dudes in the thong and like girls with their titties out, like this kind of stuff, because it's about sexuality in the first place. It's not the same thing as like the holiday parade where, you know, there's Santa Claus and stuff like that.
Right.
So it kind of like leans itself into that anyway.
And I guess I understand that, and I'm totally like, celebrate you. And I think it's just this like this underlining trauma that I have growing up, fighting this gay caricature that my family had implemented or believed. So to me, I'm like, no, listen, like, gay people are intelligent, they're business owners, they're successful, they have their shit together. Like, they're not what you may see represented in the media or at that time, right? Because we didn't have that much.
So you have stereotypes, exactly.
Right.
Why do you think it's important for more straight people to be involved in this world?
Things don't change unless everybody cares about it, and that's the people who aren't affected as much as the people who are, you know, and because it's like you see that with everything, like, you know, like with the Me Too movement, and, you know, like, women aren't going to get better rights unless men start to care too, and people of color aren't going to have better rights until white people care too, and gay people aren't going to have better rights until straight people care too, and that's, you know, so across the board, it's just, you know, like I was saying about what the definition of being an ally is like taking on this cause that doesn't directly affect you as your own, because that's when real change actually happens. Because it's always mattered to the gay community and the trans community, you know, what their rights are, but they're still a minority in this country. So if less people care, then things don't change.
I mean, it kind of goes back to, if you guys watched our homophobia episode, I could say something to somebody until I'm blue in the face.
Yeah.
And they won't receive it in the way that they would receive it from you.
Yeah.
Because you're a straight white woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, as stupid as that sounds, it's literally using your privilege for good.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
So we hit on it a little bit in the beginning. I guess more, how do you feel about the corporate takeover of branding pride as a thing in a way to sell?
I enjoy seeing the representation done by these companies. I wish that they would reach out to more people in the community as far as designs that they may put out, because I feel like they're so weak. A lot of the times.
Which is crazy, because I feel like gay people would know the best.
But that's what I'm saying, I want it to look awesome. I want to love it. I remember last year, Adidas, let me just get it. This was Adidas Pride shoe last year. Ooh, what? What? Come on. What?
It's not rainbow enough for you.
It looks like a mistake, and to me it's I want them to do it in a way that gives back to the community. So if you are going to profit, I need to know that some of that's going to organizations that help the community.
Yeah.
You know? But I think it's important for these organizations and these big corporations to show that they're being visible with the community as well. Yeah. So I like it. I just want them to do better at representing things. Because I want to rock it. I want to rock LGBT stuff. But I won't rock it just because it's LGBT if it's whack. I bought those shoes because I love Adidas and I wanted to support their Pride shoe. And then when I got it, I hated it. It's awful. Do better.
I feel the same way. It's kind of off relation, but when I see the black commercials for McDonald's.
All the causes are intersectional.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. McDonald's would be playing some R&B music from 1995, and it's just saying some super corny whack shit. And you're like, what? You live in the hood? Come get a hamburger. I'm just this is Isley Brothers music and shit. So I definitely get where you're coming from on that.
Yeah.
The bottom line is you're gonna come out with the flyest rainbow clothing line of all time.
Of course.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be rainbow. Does it have to be rainbow? It can be. Sure. Just a better looking rainbow.
Yeah. That's the iconic symbol.
I know that's the iconic symbol.
It's
cool. I can respect it. It's hard sometimes because it's hard to make it fashion to me.
It's rainbow.
It's rainbow.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Fashionable.
But I'm going to try it because I just got a rainbow tie-dye shirt. So I'm going to see. We'll post it.
Would you guys see that Babadook released a limited edition Pride DVD cover that's rainbow? Do you know about that movie and how Babadook is this?
Why is that?
Because Netflix accidentally categorized it in their LGBT genre section one time, and everyone was like, the Babadook? So now he's the unofficial Pride mascot is the Babadook, and they literally released a limited edition Pride DVD this month.
That's
smart.
Yeah, and I do believe that some of the proceeds go to LGBT causes.
Actually, because I read that in a headline somewhere, but I didn't click on it, and I remember thinking they always be doing something that I just do not understand.
Yeah.
But I was that's cool, I guess, and I was trying to figure out thinking why though.
Yeah.
But that's even better than anything I could have made up. That story.
You don't get a lot of gay people in horror. A lot of gay horror bad guys.
True.
So here you go, the Babadook.
That's so
First
true.
Gay horror villain. Arguably, maybe, I don't know.
Do you think that being an ally is something that has just come natural to you with the people that you're around? And do you feel a sort of responsibility with it now that you have so much more friends?
Yeah, very much so. I think, I'd love to think that if I didn't have a single gay friend in this world, that I would care as passionately about it. But I don't know that that's true. And that's, just kind of the reality of a lot of things that people,
Personalize things.
Right, yeah. It's your exposure to things is what makes you feel differently about them. So I don't know that I might just be kind of like complicit and like, yeah, of course I support it. Like there's not a world where I would ever be against equal rights and gay marriage, making sure that people are all treated equally, but I don't know that it would feel like my cause if it wasn't people I love's cause. So yeah, I definitely think that, and that's why, like I said, it was like this ally thing. It was like an afterthought, it was like, oh, okay, all right, like that's what that is. Like that's who I am, I guess.
Kristina's one of my best friends, but I think it's awesome that nothing's ever changed. Like you never treated me differently after coming out. You know what I mean? And I think that's super important for anybody that is an ally and that is a straight friend of somebody gay.
Right.
They're the same person.
Yeah. It doesn't change anything.
Exactly. And I think that's like super cool.
And it's like so egomaniacal for people to be like, oh my God, you're gay. You're probably attracted to me. Like.
Because I talked about it in my, in the homophobia episode, how like it did change some of my relationships with people where before, like, I'll get undressed in front of you, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't, like, you get undressed in front of me,
right.
I don't care. But I remember one time I had a friend, and she went into another room to just change her shirt, and I was like, huh?
Yeah. What? Like...
Or my other friend who's like, or telling me that her mom was saying, so how do you feel about knowing that she's gay? And I was like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
I think it's super cool and mature.
And I think it's dope that just in general, like overall, I think that whole side of life is getting more exposure and becoming more like normal. And because I think a lot of when it comes to hate in general is misunderstanding.
Right.
Like people that just don't understand something or they're afraid of it or whatever because they're not exposed to it, and
exactly.
like they just hate on it because.
Yeah.
And so I think with a lot of these shows or just the internet in general, it's good that a lot of this stuff is happening. So, and that's where I think it's cool that these corporations are kind of owning that for that little while, because it's making it where like it's regular.
Yeah.
So we're like, if we're down with it, it's regular. Stop being on the other side of shit. Like this doesn't make sense.
Right. It's normal. Like I remember reading, it was like saying about like just the general like opinion of like gay marriage. It changed so quickly over time. You know what I mean? We're like 10 years ago or whatever it was, whenever the study was done, it was like you'd poll and say like 35% of people were in like for it. And less than 10 years later, you've got like 85% of people in the country are supporting. And I'm making up these numbers again to fact check me, but you know what I mean? It was just saying that it was just uncommon for that type of public opinion to change so quickly. And a big part of that, again, it's exposure. It's putting gay people on TV. It's people in prominent positions coming out and living an out life.
And it's,
we're talking a lot about gay, and because we're talking about like pride and ally, and it's the trans community, like those are different levels, like those are different, like say gay marriage and people being gay is one thing. The trans community is still, I think, it's way more underrepresented and it's way less understood, and people fear that and don't understand that at all. Like gay is a little easier for people to wrap their minds around. But okay, so you like women instead of men. But
what I was saying is a lot of the topics that we've been discussing have been more like, I feel like on the lighthearted side, but I feel like a lot of the reason why it's important for exposures like profile photos to Rainbow to help raise awareness, or sharing women of color who are trans who have been murdered in the streets, like sharing those stories, is because those things need to be highlighted. That community, what they go through in other parts of the country, because we live in a bubble. I mean, we said it earlier, right? Like Pride started with the Stonewall riots. Those were started by women of color in the trans community, and women of color in the trans community fight for their lives every day. And we live in a bubble right now, but it's our responsibility to really highlight these things and help push acceptance, because there's people that are literally being killed for it. And I'm not trying to like bring this mood down, but I think
it's serious.
That's why talking about these things and being an ally is so vital, because I feel like allies can help explain the trans community to other people.
Yeah.
That are afraid of it and meet that with aggression. Because that's what always happens.
Yeah.
They don't understand it, so they meet it with aggression.
Exactly. Yeah, like I got to work on a documentary about, you know, kind of like what it means to be trans, and it had a focus on children, but just like kind of the different types of trans people, you know, and the different aspects of it. And it was so informative and such like an eye-opener, you know, because it is like, it's not just like, oh, all right, yeah, one day you decide that you're, or you know, that you feel that it's not your gender. Sometimes there is a lot of biology to it. There are people who are born with both sex organs, and you know what I mean, and things like that, and like higher than normal, you know, testosterone levels, even though they have female genitalia and things like that. It's just, again, it's a spectrum. There's a lot of, you know, none of it's black and white in that community. And again, it's just, you have to actively try to learn about that stuff because it's not very broadly out there. And
that's funny because I like when we had Sophia on here, who's trans, and I asked her like, do you think it's biological or psychological?
Yeah.
She didn't even say that. You said about the spectrum aspect of it, because that's one of those things that I think people don't know.
Yeah.
And it is, because if you're from the outside of it, you kind of look at it and you think it's psychological, like, oh, they just want to be a girl or whatever.
Right.
And you have no idea how deep that goes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So even hearing that just now, it's like, pfft.
Yeah, it was crazy, like, you know, doing this doc, like, talking with, you know, these families where their child was born, like I said, with, you know, like, both sets of, you know, like, and again, I'm not going to get technical and try to talk like I know what I'm talking about, but, you know, that, and they would have corrective surgery as a child, and then this kid would grow up and not feel, you know, they would correct it to, like, make them an anatomical woman. And then, you know, when they're in their teenage years and stuff, they're like, I don't feel like a woman. You know what I mean? And then they find out that's kind of why. They've been taking estrogen pills and they were born with, you know, testes, but they had them removed. You know, like things like that happen.
Oh, wow.
So it's not a large fraction of the population, but it happens to people. So there's just, there's just such a broad spectrum in that area that we don't understand at all. So, and I mean, like I said, I'm probably maybe a little bit more exposed than most, and I'm still not explaining it very well probably, but yeah, it's just, you know, it's open-mindedness like everything. It's just, you know, you can't be afraid of what you don't know. You have to learn about what you don't know and make an educated opinion. So, and equality is equality.
Do you have any words of wisdom for people that want to be allies out there?
I think, you know, like it's keeping an open mind. It's not being like turned off by something that you don't understand or are not familiar with. And it's just that, like, like we're all f***ing humans. So, and we all just deserve to be treated the right way and be able to go into whatever bakery we want for our f***ing wedding cake. Or, you know, it's like, I don't know.
Or go to a bathroom without someone questioning why I'm there.
Yeah, like, getting looks.
I feel triggered.
Yeah.
It's happened to me.
Yeah.
In LA, so.
Right. And
sometimes you're not even safe in this bubble.
Yeah, for this shit to happen, right? Like we're in a bubble. We're definitely we're fortunate to be in this progressive town, and it still happens. So I can't even imagine people who are in these little small towns that, you know, where people have no exposure and no education on these things and are just inherently bigoted about it. So open mind, and everybody deserves the same thing. So
to just live their life openly and freely and proud of who they are. That's it.
You know, we haven't gotten political about it, but
no.
You know, we have. You know, Trump was like the first Republican president to acknowledge Pride Month, but this is literally at the same week when the State Department is telling U.S. embassies overseas that they cannot fly pride flags at the U.S. embassies overseas. And they're putting together this panel in the State Department to, you know, discuss like natural law and all this stuff. And everyone thinks it's this kind of cover for like, you know, going back to like, you know, what natural marriage means and that kind of stuff. And it's a scary time. And, you know, just went into effect, in April, like, you know, banning trans people in the military and stuff. And it's, you know, like we've come a long way, you know, and gay marriage is legal. And I don't necessarily think gay marriage is at risk, but there's so much at risk with this administration and with the current, you know, mindset of a lot of people, and that it makes it even more important. You know, it's like you can't just be like, problems fixed, gay marriage is legalized. You know, like there is a lot of work to do still, and there's a lot of shit happening behind the scenes that are trying to take rights away from people still, and this whole religious rights bullshit that they're pushing. And so it's just, you know, it's being aware and being active and being vocal, you know, saying something.
For real, though.
I could just go on a tangent all day about
no,
this
that's
stuff.
no, I love that. because I love the passion behind it, and I think that's a big reason of why we wanted you on the show, because both him and I said we don't know anybody that's as passionate about pride and being an ally than you.
Thank you.
You've been kind of like the role model in as far as that's concerned. So
Well, that's,
awesome.
I mean, and I appreciate that. That's really, it's very flattering and humbling, because it's not like I said, it wasn't like some sort of active thing that I wanted to be an ally. It just,
Yeah.
I'm glad that just naturally came to me, and that's how people view me. So thank you guys.
On that note, remember to like, comment, subscribe, share this stuff. Happy Pride Month, everybody. And we'll see you next week.
Yay! Thanks, Kristina.
Yay, thank you.
Love you, Bo.
Love you, boo.